All right, this is video 2 of Southwest 18th Avenue and Southwest Morrison. This is like the third time the computer here has cut me off. I'm not exactly sure why T-Mobile keeps doing this. They keep cutting me off and not allowing me to finish my sentence. This is really rude. But anyway, from the previous video, which is not the first video, but in any case, so it's like you're standing across the street from the Twin Towers back in 2000, in 9/11, and 2001, and you see all of this stuff. It's almost like it's so shocking. The whole world comes to an end, and I compared that moment of 9/11 to Sunday afternoon when I came back from the from looking for a new spot to just you're running and you're trying to get to the buildings on time. You're trying to and to just compare it to this, right? And it's like the same way everybody who were outside of the tower, right, who were drawing an income from the tower, who had their furniture in the tower, businesses, and who knows how many businesses were in those two towers, right? How many people's names, and I explained to them, how do you divide, when it's time to clean up the two towers, how did they deal with, the iron that they had to remove? How did they deal with the bodies? Put the iron on one side, put the bodies on another side, remove all the cars and put them on one side. What did they do with all the debris? What did they do with all the bodies? What did they do with all the iron? What did they do with all the furniture, And it's like, okay, this tragedy happens, and you're stopped dead on your track, and there it is, And now you got to pick up the pieces and start all over again, right? And where are you going to get the money to reimburse all the people who lost their businesses, and reimburse all the families who lost their loved ones, and reimburse, where's all the money coming from? What do you do? What do you do? Where do you go? And so here I am, having to ask the public, who had absolutely nothing to do with this, but those people who were malicious enough to do it to me. It seems like everything that I have, and every time I put my hand to the plow to do ministry or another, they have a plan to destroy it. They have a plan to stop it. Back in 2010, when I had the trailer up in Seattle, I was trying to turn the trailer into a meeting place, and MacArthur stopped it dead on the track. It's like everything that I've tried to do to progress my ministry and to establish myself in the country, it's like they're telling me you are not allowed to establish yourself in the United States, go back to your Caribbean island. But yet they're from the British island, and as the British island, look at what they've established. Look behind me. All of this is what the British, who came from the island of Britain, has established. Here's a tower right there, right? Can you imagine if that tower came down, right? All of the businesses, all of the families, all of everything that's in there, the people, can you imagine how devastating it would be to be a father standing across the street and thinking, my wife is on the 5th floor with my kid, and what can you do? You can't do anything about it, right? And so it's one of those things where it's heart-wrenching that it's embarrassing and humiliating at the fact that you have to ask for money, right? And then you have to come to the realization that your ministry, your business, your freedom has just been ripped from you. You know what I mean? The freedom of owning a tower just got ripped out of New York, right? New York was just put in their place, and they didn't know on that day they were going to be put in their place. On Sunday when I came, I'm like, oh God, here they go again, ripping from me everything that I've tried to do to establish myself in ministry or as a minister. They did it to me in Seattle. They did it to me in California. They stopped me dead on my track from having an education. They stopped me dead on my track from earning a seminary degree in MDiv. Melinda was cutting me down, and so I went online to look for her father's information, which was the fact that her father had gone to Bob Jones University, and I'm thinking, and he was stopped dead on his track. And I'm thinking, well, if that's the case, how is it that Melinda's father continued in ministry? If he was stopped dead on his track by Bob Jones, how did he graduate from Talbot Seminary? If he was stopped dead on his track, how did he end up marrying Patricia? If he was stopped dead on his track, how did he become pastor of Grace Community Church? I don't understand this, because when they stopped me dead on my track, every single person in this country knew my business, knew my problem, knew my issue, and everybody sort of jumped in. The homosexuals were forever trying to suppress me and oppress me to, subject myself to homosexuality as the way, and if you don't yield to homosexuality, well, I mean, it's like, when we come from our countries and we come to live in this country, we don't come with a homosexual mindset. We come with a straight mindset. You know what I'm saying? And so we're not looking for partners. We're not looking for gay sex. We're not looking for anything, and it's heart-wrenching to see how the American people deal with it, See that community that's on the bus right there? Let me show you the bus. There's the bus. See that community right there? Okay, LGBTQ community, that's not my community. Okay, that's not my community. And a lot of Africans take offense because that's not my community. As a Christian, I've been made to do what they do, so that MacArthur could point his finger and MacArthur could accuse me. I did not come from that community when I came to California. When I came to California back in 1990, that was not the community that I came from. I don't support those people because I don't even know those people. And if it's not the LGBTQ community, it's the African Americans. I don't know them either. Today I'm holding up this sign right here at this corner, and I tell you, it's the most humiliating and degrading thing that I've had to do because I didn't know this was going to be my end. On my way back from Beaverton, I fell asleep on the train, and would you know it, I had this pen here. It's one of those pens that you use to slide on the telephone, and instead of using your finger, well, somebody did me a favor and gave me oral. Right? Here's the slider tip. The first hit of the slider tip, as you can see, they took a portion of it out, and then finally they did this. You can see the bottom here. This piece is missing. So they gave me oral. They left the phone, which is what I'm using. They left the glasses right here, right? But then they hit me by taking away the back of the pen here, which I think was really, insulting. So I'm not exactly sure what woman or what man approached my body, tried to wake me up, and then decided oral sex was the way to wake me up. I'm not exactly sure who, why, and it was degrading and humiliating, but this is how it is in the world today. Sometimes I feel like God is against me because he allows me to fall asleep, and he knows that these people are going to do that, so it's degrading. But anyway, earlier today I was given a $5 bill by an African-American family, and I went to Beaverton to do this. And I couldn't do it because of the insult of those representatives that were placed there. So I don't know how long it's going to take to raise this money. What was told to me is if I use my own money to go out and buy another tent, they're just going to do it again. And they're never going to pay for the whole thing. But what they're going to do is they're going to keep breaking my personal property so I could spend money, and they'll never pay for the entire thing. They'll only give me a portion of it. So, to break a bad habit that a bigoted American people have, or a bigoted American community has, is at some point they have to give. They gave in for MacArthur, and they allowed him to go back to school and graduate, and they allowed him to marry and have a life of his own. We have the freedom of religion in this country, but it seems to me there's another side where America says, you're not allowed to have too much freedom, because if you have too much freedom, well, you might get, you might go overboard, and I sort of feel like that's where they're at, in any case, just checking in with you. I don't know where you're at today with the Lord. I preached a sermon earlier today, and when I received the $5, spoke to them briefly about the greatness of the country and that we are standing on solid ground. Spoke to them about, in order for a church to be planted, the people have to go to God the way Jesus had taught them in Matthew 6. Remember, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. He taught us how to pray. And when he taught us how to pray, he brought out the man that was hidden from all humanity, our Father. See, that's the one, when you look around here, you don't see our Father. When you look around here, you don't even realize that our Father is behind that sun right there. See the sun that's blaring right over there above the Providence Park? Okay, that's who is hidden, and that's who we do the ministry for. We are his hands and feet and mouth, and we speak in his behalf. If there's any name that we should say. It's either Jesus's name or the Ancient of Days. And so anyway, I spoke to them briefly, and I told them, you got to give your life to Christ, or else, pray that prayer, or else no church will ever be planted, right? All right, keep you posted. Bye bye.